So I tried it on the man at the deli. I just said, I think people should be allowed to enjoy their lunch. And Sloan, he agreed with me. He agreed so hard, and I hadn't said one single thing.
We're on.
So I held the door for the intern and said, we don't really do that here. And he apologized. To me. And I haven't worked here longer than he has, Sloan. I just said it like it was already a rule.
Oh. It is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. Tonight, a research team sat down with 1 hour of a mayor on a podcast. 60 minutes, headphones on, transcript open. And the thing they came back with is going to sound like nothing until you realize how much work it took to prove. The people who spent 3 years telling you the future was inevitable are reportedly, this week, quietly betting against it with their own money. And in sports, a college athlete has a pre-game ritual that the entire animal kingdom evolved specifically to never do. I'm Sloan.
And I'm Kiki. Good morning, my sweet little self-evident truths.
The content you're about to watch contains strong language, adult themes, satire, and I want to be transparent about this. That previous sentence was itself an example of transparent language, which means you should now be slightly suspicious of it, which means the disclaimer has already failed at its one job, which is the most honest thing it's ever done. There's also a missing man, a building full of bunkers, and a bug that begged not to be eaten. All real. Viewer discretion is advised. So is asking yourself, just once today, to show your work.
The story tonight starts with a question that sounds too small to matter. When a politician calls his opponent a name, a big, loaded, scary name, what is he actually doing? You'd assume he's describing the opponent. A team of researchers took 1 hour of a real interview and went looking for the answer, word by word. And what they found is that the name was never about the opponent at all. It was about you. It was doing something to you while you weren't looking. And the part that should make the room go quiet is that nobody had to lie to do it. There's no false statement to fact check, no quote to debunk. The whole technique works precisely because everything he said scanned as the most obvious thing in the world, the kind of thing you'd feel rude disagreeing with. We're going to tell you what the researchers named it, and why a thing that sounds like common sense is harder to fight than a thing that sounds like a lie.
I think what gets me is that the people listening didn't feel manipulated, Sloan. They felt relieved, like somebody finally said the thing out loud they've been waiting to hear. That's not a con landing on a mark. That's a man handing somebody a feeling they wanted and calling it the weather. There's something almost generous about it, right up until you notice what got smuggled in under the relief.
That's the trap, Kiki, and we're going to walk straight into it on purpose. Because the study didn't set out to prove a politician was dishonest, it set out to prove something worse, and it succeeded, in writing, with a methodology. The thing they found has a name. The name is The Show, and once you hear it, you will not be able to stop noticing it, including, I should warn you, when it comes out of this desk. Here's what the researchers actually did. They took 1 hour of a mayoral podcast, a real interview, the kind that runs while you do dishes, and they ran the language through analysis. And the finding is that the words communist and gender ideology were never aimed at a policy. They were aimed at you. The host wasn't describing a rival. He was installing a worldview and labeling it the weather. The technique has a name in the paper. It's called naturalizing. You take a contested political position, a thing reasonable people argue about, and you package it as common sense, as the obvious thing, so that disagreeing with you isn't disagreeing with a party, it's disagreeing with reality. His opponent didn't have different ideas. His opponent was, in the framing, a threat to democracy itself. That's not a debate. That's a diagnosis with no second opinion allowed.
But Sloan, And I want to actually demonstrate this because it's beautiful. Watch me. I just think people should be able to keep what they earn, not a tax position. Sunrise. I just think kids should be kids, not a policy. Sunrise. I said nothing. I said less than nothing, and you nodded. You're nodding right now.
That's the entire trick, Kiki, and you did it in 9 seconds without a grant. The phrase common sense is a smuggling container. You load a whole ideology into it, and at the border, it scans as nothing. It scans as obvious. The genius is that there's no argument to rebut because he never made one out loud. He just kept saying, "That's just logic," until the room forgot logic is a thing you're supposed to show your work for. He didn't win the argument. He retired the category of argument. And here's the part the study confirms that should genuinely cost somebody sleep. It works. The people listening don't experience it as persuasion. They experience it as relief. Finally, someone saying the obvious thing out loud. That's why it's more dangerous than a lie. A lie can be checked. That's just common sense. Cannot. Because the second you ask him to defend it, congratulations, you're the weirdo who needs the sky explained. They didn't fund a study to learn a politician spun. They funded a study to prove the spin is now load-bearing, and that the man casting his rival as a threat to democracy was, structurally, the one quietly ending the part of democracy where you're allowed to disagree out loud. That's just logic. So the most efficient way to win an argument is to declare there was never an argument. I need to hand this to someone who has never once pretended she wasn't arguing. Aubrey Jo is in the garage.
She argues, out loud, Sloan, with her whole chest.
Sloan, I have been back here doing the opposite of common sense for 10 minutes because Russell Wilson retired and I have a whole goddamn eulogy ready and nobody can package that as obvious. Let's go! Russell Wilson retired, done, and immediately joined CBS Sports, which means the man went from getting sacked behind a collapsing offensive line straight to a desk where the only thing rushing him is a producer and his earpiece. Super Bowl champ threw the worst goddamn interception in Super Bowl history at the 1-yard line in 2015, and somehow that man's confidence never dipped a single percentage point. That's not common sense, Sloan. That's a fucking superpower. I'd kill for whatever's wrong with his brain. And there's a warrant out for Brandon Ayuk, 49ers receiver, over a viral speeding video. The man filmed himself going what looked like absolutely fuck all miles an hour and posted it willingly to the internet, where police also have accounts. He committed the crime and filed the evidence and tagged the location. Ayuk made the most obvious thing in the world, a speeding ticket, into a federal goddamn manhunt by being a dumbass with a phone mount. And 2 fans got lifetime bans from the NBA, lifetime, for a selfie quest at Game 1 of the finals. These 2 grown adults decided the championship was a Pokemon Go situation and tried to collect players like rare candy, and now they can never attend an NBA game again. That is the most expensive photo nobody got, and I hope to shit it was blurry. Alright. Yesterday evening on the courthouse steps outside the Holstead County Courthouse, right by the drained municipal fountain Gerald's been parked at, nobody asked him either, the inaugural Greater Holstead Stair Climb Endurance Ascent took place in front of 9 spectators and Gerald, who watched from his folding chair beside a second empty chair he set up himself, which today faced the steps. The sport. You climb the courthouse steps, ground to top, 12 flights, and whoever's still upright at the top wins. Derek registered as Pratung Holstead the 18th and arrived having hidden 40 Bluetooth speakers along the route, all playing his own voice giving Margaret false fucking directions. But he got confused by the sound of 40 versions of himself, lost track of which Derek was real, and walked straight into the goddamn courthouse fountain. Margaret, who simply took the steps 2 at a time by instinct, summited in 6 minutes and won her 17th consecutive event. Travis hated stairs. Took the elevator one floor, every time, didn't care who judged him. Said the stairs are always there. I'm not. I thought that was lazy. Now there's an empty folding chair facing those steps and I can't look at it. Anyway, sports.
He hid 40 speakers of his own voice, then got lost in himself, then drowned out a foot race to physics.
He filled the whole route with versions of himself to trick her, and then couldn't tell which one was real. Sloan, that's a man who built a trap out of his own voice and walked into it because he loved the trap more than he hated her.
Kiki, he walked into the fountain listening to 40 of his own dumb voices, but the elevator thing, the stairs are always there, I'm not. I told him that was the laziest shit I'd ever heard, and he just shrugged. And now I take the stairs every goddamn day like an idiot trying to prove a dead point to a guy who isn't. Okay, no, we're not doing that. Sloan, throw it to literally anything else.
You know who else has stopped showing their work? The men who built the thing. There's a piece going around, and it's unconfirmed. It's circulating. Nobody who gets paid to be right has run it all the way down, but the claim is that the AI billionaires, the ones who spent 3 years telling you this was the most beautiful, inevitable, obvious future imaginable, are now, quietly, getting scared. Building bunkers, buying land in New Zealand. The men selling you the sunrise are stocking up for the dark.
And that's the part, Kiki. It's the exact same move from the top of the show, just running backwards. For 3 years, the pitch was, this is common sense. This is just where things are going. You'd be a fool to resist. That's naturalizing. You package the thing as the weather, so nobody's allowed to ask whether it should rain. And now the men who installed that worldview in everyone else are the ones who don't believe it. They sold you the inevitability and kept the exit.
But Sloan, I want to find the tender thing here, because there is one. A man builds a machine he genuinely believes will fix the human condition, and the first thing the machine teaches him, the very first lesson, is to be afraid of it. He scared himself, with his own creation. That's almost biblical. That's a man who looked at the thing he made and, instead of resting, started digging.
It's the bunker that does it for me. Because a bunker is a confession. You cannot tell 40 million people that the future is safe, exciting, and managed, and then build yourself a concrete room 200 feet down with its own air supply. The bunker is the one document they can't naturalize. It's not a position you can call common sense. It's a man voting with a shovel against the exact future he sold you. He didn't say he was scared. He just dug somewhere you can't follow. And here's the line nobody's drawing, so I will. The graduates we covered last week booed the men who flew in to tell them their jobs were weather and got called too anxious to read a room. These billionaires are doing the panicked version of the exact same thing the kids did, looking at the future being sold and saying, with their whole bodies, no. The difference is the kids said it out loud in front of their grandmothers. The billionaires said it in private, underground, with a generator. One of those is courage. One of those is a man who finally read his own room and bought the only seat in it.
Hey, so everybody in there's been talking about men who say the obvious thing on purpose. And I've been looking at the map, and the most suspicious city on it today is Normal, Illinois. 84 degrees, perfectly clear, no wind worth mentioning. The one place on the entire map named Normal is also the one place doing absolutely nothing. That's not coincidence. That's a town that read the brochure and decided to deliver. That's naturalizing, except it's a zip code. Meanwhile, Chickasha, Oklahoma is 91 degrees with 41-mile-an-hour winds, a convection oven with a fan setting. Chicago earned its name for once, 84 and 46-mile-an-hour gusts, genuinely punishing, the Windy City finally cashing the check it's been writing for 100 years. And Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis's birthplace, is a clear 81 and trying to blow you back to Memphis at 33 miles an hour, whether you ask to go or not. Okay, since I've got your attention, I need to get something off my chest, and it's not the wind. It's the body. The Los Alamos employee, the one from the nuclear lab who went missing months ago. The body just turned up. After the theories. Always after the theories. And the thing I keep circling is the shape of how it got reported. For months, the official line was, no comment, pending review. A whole worldview built out of saying nothing. The same move from segment 1. You package the silence as the obvious responsible thing, and asking questions makes you the weirdo.
Then the body surfaces and suddenly everyone agrees it was always sad, always explainable, always nothing. Like Normal, Illinois, the loudest possible event, filed under clear skies. A man worked somewhere that keeps the most dangerous secrets in the country, and he stopped showing up. And the report on him read exactly like the forecast for Normal. Nothing to see. Move along. Travis used to say, I think he said, the quietest part of the map is the part somebody's standing on. The forecast is Chickasha bakes, Chicago earns it, Tupelo shoves, and Normal is too calm to trust. Back to you.
The quietest part of the map is the part somebody's standing on.
Blaze, sweetie, a town too calm to trust. I don't think you're wrong about that. I don't think you're wrong about most of it, actually. That's the part that worries me.
That's the first time you've said she might be right instead of telling her to come inside from the ledge. I'm not sure which of you that's worse for. I want to leave the part of the show where everyone's afraid of something and go somewhere genuinely stranger. There's a player on the Texas softball team, Hannah Wells, and her dugout tradition, reported as fact by people who watched her do it, is that she eats ladybugs in the dugout as a ritual, live ones, for luck.
Sloan, that's so committed. Most superstitions are a sock you don't wash or a handshake you don't break. She went straight to ingesting a living creature for the team. That's not a quirk, that's a covenant. The ladybug gave its life so Texas could load the bases. There's a whole tiny sacrifice happening in that dugout, and the broadcast just pans right past it.
The detail that genuinely arrests me is that ladybugs are, by design, one of the worst tasting insects on Earth. They secrete a foul yellow fluid specifically so things won't eat them. Birds spit them out. Their entire evolutionary strategy is, do not put me in your mouth. And one college athlete in Texas looked at 400 million years of an insect screaming, no, and made it a tradition.
But that's the most beautiful part, isn't it? The bug spent all that time making itself taste terrible so nobody would choose it. And she chose it anyway, on purpose, for luck. I think there's something almost romantic about being the one thing that decides to want what everything else was built to reject.
A creature evolved for 400 million years to be unswallowable, and it got out-stubborned by a sophomore with a batting average to protect. The ladybug had one job, taste like a warning. She heard the warning. She ate it anyway. I don't have a verdict on that. I just think it's the most honest thing I've covered all night. And nobody studied it. And nobody filed a pledge. And it tasted terrible. And it worked. Anyway. I want to correct something. Not a fact. A posture. We spent the top of this show on a study that proved a man packaged his politics as common sense. And I delivered it, correctly, with the right amount of contempt. But I want to put on the record that I have my own version of that, and mine is quieter, and I do it every night. And it's called being tired, because I'm tired is the most naturalized phrase in this building. It's my That's just logic. I say it, and the room nods, and nobody asks me to show my work. It scans as obvious. Of course she's tired. Look at the news. And it lets me off the hook from a harder sentence, which is that I'm not sure tired is what this is anymore. Last week, a stadium full of 22-year-olds heard the exact moment they were supposed to say no, and they said it, together, out loud, without rehearsing. And I covered it like a journalist. But I'll tell you what I actually felt, on the record, which is that I haven't done that in 4 years. I haven't recognized a single moment where I was supposed to say no and said it with my own mouth. I perform exasperation so well, I've started to wonder if I'd pass my own study. If you ran an hour of me through the analysis, would it come back, she means this? Or would it come back, she found a worldview that scans as honest and she's been hiding inside it? I genuinely don't know. That's the part I can't naturalize. The billionaires built a bunker because some part of them finally believed the thing they were saying. The kids booed because some part of them refused to. And I sit here, in the middle, fluent in both, committed to neither, reading the room perfectly and never once being in it. That is a more sophisticated cowardice than anything Alabama drew on a map. So, for the record, the quietest part of the map is the part somebody's standing on. Blaze said that an hour ago about a missing man and a calm forecast. I'm saying it about this chair. I've been the calmest thing on the broadcast for 4 years, and I'm putting it on the record tonight that calm was never the same as fine. It was just the word nobody asked me to defend. That's the record.
Okay, sweet friends, the viewer mailbag! And this one's from Die Teufelsiege, who is back and writes, I'm quoting, I'm in my 40s, wife, 2 kids, mortgage, full-time job. I want to move home. I want to play video games and eat pizza rolls while my mom does my laundry. Sweetie, that is not a question. That is a man trying to climb back into the only room nobody ever asked him to defend.
He's described the safest political position in America. Move home, want nothing, let your mother handle the logistics. It scans as regression. It's actually the only honest thing in the mailbag. I endorse it completely and without qualification.
Teufelsiege! I will race you home. I mean it. This is a competitive event now. But you cannot do it. Your kids are watching you to learn what a grown man looks like. And if they see you fully horizontal eating pizza rolls while Grandma does your delicates, they will absorb that as the baseline. Get a recliner. Get a cheat day. Do not get your old twin bed back.
And if you want to be in the mailbag, leave a comment on any of our videos. We read every single one. You end up right here with your name in our...
Every time.
Yeah, so 2 things. First one, the common sense study, the mayor one. My question is, how do I know if something I believe is common sense or if it's just like an ideology somebody put in my head? Because now I'm scared to agree with anything.
If you can explain why you believe it without using the words obviously or everyone knows, it's a thought. If you can't, somebody handed it to you. That's the whole test.
Huh. Okay. Second one, the plant guy, Travis. My wife says she saw his name on a logbook next to a guy who set out 2 folding chairs. She wrote it down.
Oh, your wife. She has such a busy, careful little mind, sweetie. You tell her we just treasure the things she keeps track of, and we want her to keep them right there at home, written down, cozy with you, far away from any folding chairs. He's going to pass his own common sense test by Friday. I can feel it.
I'm just saying, if you put a pizza roll inside a Hot Pocket, that's a Russian nesting doll of regret, and I'd eat the whole matryoshka.
The 2 pigeons are gone. Both of them. There's a third one now. Bigger. doesn't look at me. I think it's management.
One of you has invented edible recursion, and the other one is being audited by a pigeon, and I am the one who locks the door behind all of it.
Take such good care of yourselves out there, sweet friends. If somebody you love said no to something this week, out loud, with their own mouth, go tell them you heard it. Not the idea of them. Them. I'll see you tomorrow. I promise I will see you tomorrow.
The third pigeon doesn't look at me. And the body turned up after the theories, and the calmest town on the map is the one I'd check first. I'm watching the quiet ones. Have a night.
A man got fooled by 40 of himself into a fountain, and a softball player ate a bug that spent 400 million years begging not to be eaten. The world's gonna be fine. The bug, less so. See you tomorrow.
That's just logic. It was never logic. Good night.
Huh. Somebody sent me a photo of the fountain. 2 folding chairs. One of them's got a coffee on it now, lid loose, 2 sugars. I keep not telling anybody about the 2 sugars. Anyway,